but also we'll put a link on our website. And in the future, we're going to have a YouTube channel where these will go. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Hurtubise. I'm the Communications Director for America 250 Ohio. And we are welcoming you to the very first TODD Talks, an opportunity for our Executive Director, Todd Kleismit, to share with you updates about what's happening with America 250 Ohio, but importantly, hear from you and give you a chance to ask questions. We'll be doing this each month on the last Friday of the month at 12 noon. We did it on the 10th this time because the nature of the holiday being last week, we thought that would be better. So our next one will be on Friday, February the 7th at 12 o'clock. And we'll have our reservations that you can do through our website in time for you to do that for next month. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it, one more thing. Please, you can put your questions in the chat and I'll be moderating throughout. And then also we'll have time at the end that you could raise your hand using the raise hand and I'll call on folks. But please, be thinking about questions because this is meant to be an open forum. And I'm going to turn it over to Todd Kleismit, Executive Director.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everyone. It is just a tiny bit afternoon on this fine Friday. I hope all of you are doing well. Thanks so much for joining us. As Chris mentioned, my name's Todd Kleismit. I have the high honor of serving as the Executive Director of what we call America 250 Ohio. There's a lot of excitement, just a lot of different things going on. So we thought this would be a great opportunity just to have an informal session, just to have a conversation. So as Chris mentioned, this is meant to be a two-way conversation. I'm going to run through some things that are coming up, some of the things we have done more recently, the commission. If you're joining us, that's because you are engaged, you are paying attention, and we so appreciate your interest in what we're doing. So I think there's a lot of friends and colleagues on the call today. I'll bet some of you have a pretty deep knowledge of the work that the commission's doing, and other of you, this may be a little bit more introductory in nature. So I'm not going to try to make too many assumptions about what you may or may not already know. Also, we, don't feel obligated to join us every month. It's not really meant to be that, but it is. We would love to have you if you are interested. There is just so much happening that we want to just have an easy forum for staying connected and keeping you apprised as to progress that's being made. So with that, I'm just going to run through a few things that the commission is up to, some things that we have been doing in more recent months. Hopefully all of you are aware of our America 250 Ohio Communities effort. We are trying, of course, there is the National Commission. There's an america250.org where you can find out more about the National Commission. Every state should be in some form or fashion doing something similar to us. Not as awesome as what Ohio's doing, but they're doing stuff all over the nation. But we also think it's very important to localize the work and make sure that everyone who wants to participate in the nation's 250th has that opportunity to do so. So we did just recently, and I'm going to tell you, Chris Hurtubise gets all the credit for this. We just recently put out our annual report for 2024. It is the calendar year of 2024. You can find that on our website, and I hope you will, because it does capture so much of what is happening. So anyway, back to the America 250 Ohio Communities. Great progress being made there. What that really is, and the starting point is on our website. But we have encouraged counties and cities and villages and townships to pass a simple resolution to say that we're going to participate in America 250. We'll set up a local committee of some kind. We don't prescribe how that committee needs to be set up or run, et cetera. But we're encouraging local engagement and then asking them to assign a couple of people to liaison with our state commission. And so anyway, I'm pleased to report that we have, I think, more than 140 different communities have done so. And we also need to make sure that we do get those resolutions so we can confirm that that has taken place. And so my esteemed colleague, Taylor Tomu, who's probably on this call, she also hosts monthly gatherings with those liaisons. So it's just another easy way for us to communicate more efficiently with the communities that have decided that they want to participate. So that's our America 250 Ohio communities. Our thanks. I'll bet a bunch of the liaisons are on this call today, so thanks for joining us. And so by passing those resolutions by the end of this month in January, that they then become eligible for grants. So I'll bet many of you know we gave out about $1 million worth of grants in the last fiscal year. And we are in the process now of creating our third round of grants. So this is the way we've set this up is that the communities that have passed those resolutions and formed a local committee, it is the work of those local committees that we're hoping to fund various projects around the state. So whether you're a county or a city or a village or township, you would be eligible to send us a grant application by the end of January saying, here's what we'd like to do. And these will be $5,000 grants. We're not planning to give $3,100 here or $4,600 there. These are intended to be $5,000 grants to fund those local projects. So communities that have not yet signed up, we would encourage them to do so by the end of January to become eligible. So I'm not going to do a super deep dive on too many topics here because I want to give plenty of time for conversation and see what kinds of things are on your mind. So that's what I'll say about the grants in the communities right now. Okay, so now that we are in the year 2025, we are able to talk about the nation's 250th is literally next year. So it is coming at us full speed ahead. And one of the biggest ways we will be approaching 2026 and the nation's 250th are through monthly themes. And so I'll bet most of you probably know about that. You can find that information online. And so I'll give just a couple of examples to make sure you know what we're talking about here. So in January of 2026, a year from now, we'll be emphasizing Ohio Originals. So people, places, events that where Ohio contributed something unique that we think was of national significance. We're hoping to really showcase those Ohio Originals in the month of January. Then when we get, I'll skip around a little bit, go to April, we'll be making a big deal out of transportation, all things transportation related. We're going to have a Buckeye train excursion going on in April of 2026. Stay tuned for more on that. In July, when we have the anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, that is going to be super important. Of course, fireworks will be involved, but what we really want to do is bring some people together. And so what we're doing is we're theming that to homecoming and picnics. And so we want to encourage homecomings, picnics, reunions, block parties, things of that nature. So we're going to be putting together some homecoming kits to help incentivize that and bring some people together. When we get to a little later in the year, in September, it will be an emphasis on sports. As you know, we have professional and minor league baseball teams, Olympians. There's a lot that Ohio's contributed in sports. October will be agriculture and food. And we'll be wrapping up 2026 with a future Ohio looking ahead. So wanted to mention the monthly themes. A couple other things I'll touch on, and then we'll open it up for your questions. One of the bigger programs we'll be running in 2026 is something called Ohio Goes to the Movies. I'll bet a lot of you are pretty familiar with that. We've gotten a lot of traction around the state for Ohio Goes to the Movies. And you probably know Ohio does have a lot of ties to Hollywood and the film industry. Whether there were Ohio actors in the films or perhaps it was partially filmed in Ohio, could be an Ohio director, whatever that Ohio tie is, we want to capture that and make that part of Ohio Goes to the Movies, which will run for, about 250 days, all throughout most of 2026. So we'll kick that off in February, I think, for Valentine's Day. Look for that to kick off about then and go through October. So it's gonna be most of the year. And we actually have a trailer. If you've not yet seen it, you can see that on our Ohio Goes to the Movies webpage, uh, um, featuring Beverly D'Angelo, who you may know is an Ohioan. And she and Governor DeWine make some appearances in that. So check that out if you haven't already had a chance to do so. Um, we're doing lots of other cool things. We're going to be kicking off in 2025 several things. I'll mention a couple of these. One is a new webinar series. We're going to be kicking off, I think, in the March timeframe. That is still in the formative stage here, but we're working with some subject matter experts and historians to have a webinar series that will just be quarterly, probably a few times per year, talking about what was happening in and around the Ohio country about 250 years ago. So we've got a really strong group that is working with us on that. And we'll be launching that, I think, here in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for that. I think, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're calling that Ohio and the Revolution or something
Yes,
similar.
that's our working title. That's right.
Okay, terrific. Um, Something else that's coming up in the spring here. This was initiated by one of the other state 250 commissions, something called Two Lights for Tomorrow. They're going to be encouraging all of the state capitals to put two lights or two lanterns up in various state houses the evening of April 18, which is tied to the mythology of Paul Revere's ride through the Massachusetts countryside that evening. That was exactly 250 years ago from April 18, 1775. And then the next day was Lexington and Concord. So two lights for tomorrow. And the next day is meant to be a day of community service. So that's something we're working on. So that'll be April 18 and 19. I think we'd ultimately like to have some county courthouses participate in that too. So stay tuned for that. Want to mention that the America 250 Ohio Commission meets quarterly. And so our next quarterly commission meeting will be in Akron. And we want to do a shout out for Akron. Akron is celebrating its bicentennial this year. So it's a big year for Akron. And so we'll be with them Friday, March 14th for our next commission meeting. And looking forward to collaborating or continuing to collaborate with those of you in the Akron area. So, there's lots going on. You may know about things such as our fourth grade history pass. There's some educational work underway. We're going to be recognizing American Revolutionary War veterans that are buried in the state. So, there is, as I say, lots going on. I've touched on a number of things. Another big important thing that'll be happening the next 6 months is the state biennial budget is about to be kicked off. So Governor DeWine will be introducing his new 2-year state operating budget on Monday, February 3rd. And so the America 250 Ohio Commission has one line item that is within the Ohio History Connection state operating budget. And so fingers are crossed that will the Ohio General Assembly will continue to look upon the commission's work favorably, but we'll be working diligently to continue the partnership that we have with Governor DeWine and with the Ohio General Assembly during the state budget. And I anticipate I'll be providing budget testimony in the spring. So stay tuned for that. If you have any interest in helping us in the state budget, just feel free to reach out to us and let us know that. So that'll be huge. And so we're looking forward to continuing those great partnerships we have established all over the state of Ohio. And I think maybe with that, I'll kind of just wrap that up with those comments and see what questions come through. I think Chris is going to facilitate the questions for me. So thank you for that, Chris. And can't thank you enough again for joining us.
Todd, before we go to our first question, you can put your questions in the chat, or you can raise a hand and I'll call on you. And you can do the raise hand feature. It's in the, depending on your computer, it's in the bar that has the different features. Todd, I wondered if you could just mention briefly a little bit about our Undertold Stories work that we're doing.
Sure. Yeah, we've got a committee set up to focus on undertold stories. And so, there's a lot of different ways we can look at that. I often say that those are some of those nuggets around the state of Ohio where things that haven't necessarily been part of the highlight reels of history. We know that there are lots of nuggets out there. And so those are the kinds of things where, once you shine a light on something, it's, people will say, boy, I didn't know Ohio had that, or I didn't know that so-and-so was an Ohioan. So let me point to one thing that that committee has worked on, and that was in September, there was an Underground Railroad gathering, and I'm sure most of you know, Ohio has contributed so much to civil rights and to the Underground Railroad, pre-Civil War. So there are more sites, certified Underground Railroad sites in the state of Ohio than any other state. And what we discovered was that a lot of them, didn't talk to each other, didn't know about what other Underground Railroad sites were doing. And so we just helped try to facilitate that. And so my colleague Taylor Tomu did an awful lot of the work to collaborate with others to help put that on back in September. So we think that there's a very good chance that'll become an annual event and maybe even build upon that first successful gathering. So that's Undertold Stories. One thing I didn't mention before is Trails and Tales is a really big deal. And Tales is spelled T-A-L-E-S. Those are stories. But we've got so many of these assets around the state of Ohio, museums, historic sites, just places around Ohio that are themed, that could be packaged together to be themed in ways that really showcase some Ohio strengths and some of these ways that Ohio's contributed. So the first one was launched in the past year, I think in May, and that was aimed to air and space. And so all these places, it's not really so important that you get in the car in Cincinnati and drive all across the state. It's really meant to be the connective tissue about all these places and to understand what Ohio's contributed in that way. And so Chris Hurtubise and Melinda Huntley from our commission and others are working on one right now for a creativity trail. So there's a lot of great work being done with a really strong team. And so we anticipate launching that, I think, Friday, February 7th. Is that right, Chris?
That's correct. Yeah.
That'll be in Toledo at the Toledo Art Museum. So yeah, just a really cool project. I thought I wanted to mention that as well. There'll be 4 more, by the way. Our aim is to have a total of 6 trails around the state. These are places that already exist. We're talking about packaging them in a unique way.
Well, that's the perfect segue for the first question from Amy Mendelson. And she asked about Trails and Tales. And one of the questions she asked is, when can they apply for future trails and when will they be rolled out? So as Todd mentioned, creativity is just about to go out. We have 100 sites that are going to be included, over 6 different genres of artistic expression. The webpage is in process right now and soon to be ready for folks to take a look at. We are going to create a trail about Ohio's waterways. This will be about the river, the lake, and the canals. We will be starting that project as soon as creativity finishes, and that will come out in the late spring, early summer of 2025. In the fall of 2025, we will be doing our innovation trail. This will be about inventors, innovations, and the big idea behind Trails and Tales is it's a story, it's a place you can visit, and something you can experience. And typically what we do is we start on a trail about 3 months ahead of time. And we're going to do a trails landing page on our website, which will have all the details. We're going to have that up. We want to do that the next couple of weeks before creativity launches. So Amy, if you have a specific something that you want to know about, I'll put my email address for you in the chat. You can get in contact with me. I'll give you more information. All right. Our next question is from, let me just roll down here. It is from Karen, and she's asking about grants. So she is asking about, will there be any other grants moving forward after this Session of America 250 Ohio Community Grants? And what's the best way? The second question is, what's the best way to share local components that are, quote, ready to add to the celebration themes? So I think those are two terrific questions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for the question. And as for the grants, right now, I would anticipate that this will be our final round of grants. Just we're getting so close to 2026. So I think that's pretty straightforward. If we find other opportunities to provide grants, by all means, we will absolutely try our best to do so. And then I think the other question, I think you said, Chris, is there are local projects underway that are, quote, ready, and how can they get integrated into to the work that we're doing? And that's an important part I should comment on is that, our state commission, we're trying our best to head up the efforts within the state of Ohio. And, we're going to find some things that are going to be national in scope, and we'll try to lead into those opportunities where we find them. We think there's going to be some things that will be multi-state in nature. And, one great example is, an Ohio original is the Northwest Ordinance. Ohio was the first state to emerge from the Northwest Ordinance, and it's incumbent upon us, I think, during this time to really showcase the significance of that. And but there were several other states that came out of the Northwest Ordinance, and so we want to work to collaborate with those states, generally Midwestern states that came out of the Northwest Ordinance. But we also think it's so important to not only focus on these things that are statewide in nature, but localize this as much as possible. And so, communities are free to do what you want to do, what you want to accomplish locally. A lot of times it might be, what can the commission do to support what you want to accomplish, rather than the other way around. So a lot of times if we know about the work that you're doing, we'll try to help amplify that, support it. Maybe we can sometimes connect some dots to tell you about, what we know about a similar project that might be happening somewhere else in the state. But otherwise, I would just say, through communications, if you are part of the group that has formed with a local 250 community, that's a great way to just get integrated locally and ask us what we can do to help support what you want to do locally. Otherwise, it might just depend, with specifics. So just let us know. We'll be glad to help any way we can.
Yeah, Todd. So also I put in the chat links to the different things we've been talking about, including the 12 monthly themes. So you can see all the themes. At the bottom of the page, there's a place where you sort of like you tell us, and that it goes to a general box that we all see. That's a project I'm working on, so it'll walk my way at some point. I also put my email address in there for Trails and Tales if you're interested. So Debbie Robinson has been waiting very patiently. She has her hand up, so we'll go to Debbie, and after that, we'll go to Karen.
Hi,
Hi,
Debbie.
Chris. Hi, Todd. Just a quick question. We're very excited about Ohio Goes to the Movies, and I know it won't take place until 26, but I have not submitted a theater yet. Tell me a little bit more about the qualifications of the theater, and if it's open to the public, does it have to be free for people to come in? And I know we don't quite know what they'll be showing yet, but kind of walk me through what you know so far.
All right, why don't I start and maybe one of my colleagues here. I don't know if Molly Kruzman's on here. Molly is heading up our America. Okay, Ohio Goes to the Movies. um,
I'm just going to close up. I've got a microphone that's talking back to us here.
Okay. Okay. The best thing to do, Debbie, is there's a really strong team working on Ohio Goes to the Movies. Molly Kruzman and Rachel Sipes we've got a couple of team members there, and there's a good sort of ecosystem of support around that. I would probably send specific questions to Molly, but yeah, there are going to be some things, we do want, in 2026 for Ohio Goes to the Movies to have sort of more than a movie experience. Don't just show a film that has an Ohio tie and, you come into the theater and then you exit. We're hoping that there will be some level of programming. We don't want to be too prescriptive in that. But yeah, the team working on Ohio Goes to the Movies can say something more specific. Is there somebody else, I don't know, Chris, or if anyone else on the team has anything to add to that?
Well, I think I just put Molly's email address in the chat, so you can reach out to her. She is more than happy to talk with you. Right now, they're securing partners, so it's the perfect time. We are trying to make those free events because we want as many people to be able to participate as possible. And they're creating the program to be able to do that, and she can give you a lot more information. We're going to go to Karen, who has her hand raised, and then we're going to go to another question in the chat from Colleen Sharkey.
Hey,
Thank you.
Karen in
Thank you so
Union
much.
County.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify my question because I don't want to inundate you. So we had our first meeting this week with our task force, and we're all excited and we're all gearing up. But it is kind of an elephant, and we're trying to take it, one bite at a time. And so what my question is, I don't want to inundate the staff. Your annual report is excellent, and it lists the project leaders and the staff liaison. So as an example, if we know the Honda Heritage Center wants to be a part of the 4th grade history pass, and I know that's done, and I want to upload that, like give it to somebody, do I email that to the co-chair? Do I email it to the staff? And again, I recognize that, maybe we should wait to get all of the Union County, for that particular example, the 4th grade history pass, all of our locations set. But I'd love to do it like checkbox, got the Honda Heritage uploaded. I just didn't know with each one of these themes, and you got 88 counties and all these people submitting stuff to you. That's a lot for you to manage. I just didn't know if there was a process, like send stuff to the co-chairs or send stuff to the staff, or wait till you got as much as you can per theme or area or opportunity before you send it to us. I just didn't want to inundate you with, okay, here's one, okay, here's another on this day. Just trying to check things off so that, we're moving as best as we can, giving everything else on our plates.
Sure. Yeah, I will say that, a lot of times, if you send it to us one way or the other, we're not perfect, but we will try to make sure that it gets to the right person. For, in your example of the Honda Heritage Center, feel free to send it to Abby Reynolds, A Reynolds at ohiohistory.org would be a good person. You could also send it to me, to Chris. But I would say probably directing it to a staff member to start and letting us decipher, who's the best person to respond to this. So there really isn't a wrong answer in my opinion. Chris or anybody on the staff want to add anything to that?
That's perfect.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
This is a questions from Colleen Sharkey. She says, I want to ask about the Ohio Trails and Tales. Is it still important to have a person, meaning an Ohioan, to connect with the place to have an experience? Or if there is a compelling story or group entity that would still be a good fit for the submission? I can take that one if you want, Todd.
Sure.
The answer is yes. It can be a compelling story, group, or entity. I think the main thing is that it has an Ohio connection. It connects to the theme, and that you can go to a place to learn more. We like it when it's a person because it's more human, but we also understand that that's not always possible. So again, happy to work with you on that. Kathy Dean Dealman had her hand up. So Kathy, would you like to ask your question? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. I couldn't remember the microphone was. Hi, I'm Kathy Dean Dealman. I am on the commission as well. I am I am one of the co-chairs of the Undertold Stories Committee. So I just kind of want to put a plug in for our committee and to say if you had any questions or any stories that you wanted to share or anybody that you thought might be interested in sharing stories, please let me know, and you can always get our information. I can always put it in the chat as well. We meet and via Zoom monthly, and I mean the Undertold Stories could be anything from African American history, indigenous peoples, immigrants, the LGBTQ community, women's history, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to go ahead and put a plug in for that too.
Thanks for all your work on that, Kathy. And, you know, the way we've set up our 6 committees that we have is we have one commission member serving as a co-chair and someone who's not serving on the commission as the other co-chair. So in this case, it's a retired judge in the Dayton area, Francis.
McGee Cromartie. I know.
McGee
I just
Cromartie,
now
yes.
learned it. I just now
I'm
got it
just
right.
I'm so used to just calling her Francis. But yeah, that's a great group there. And anyway, so thanks for all you're doing, Kathy.
Thank you.
Right. Any other questions at the moment? I have a question I can throw out while we're thinking. Here's something I don't know if you talked about, Todd, and if you did and I wasn't listening, I'll apologize. Did you mention anything about heritage trees?
I don't think I did.
I think that'd be great for the group to hear.
Sure. Yeah, sort of borrowing on the idea of the Liberty Tree, the original Liberty Tree that was in Boston. So just we wanted to do something similar because we think planting a tree is really a very hopeful thing. It is about future, it's a future, I don't know how the right way to say it, but it is a hopeful task to plant a tree for the future. So what we're planning to do there is we're working with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and the arboretums around the state, really the tree experts, of course. I am not one of them, but we're following their lead. I think we're going to plant at a minimum a ceremonial tree, perhaps in a park or on the county courthouse green, whatever each community decides they want to do. At least one in every county, maybe more, we'll see. But we've got tree plantings are being planned for the spring of 2025. So that's this year in April. And then hopefully another batch to be done in April of 2026. Again, following the leads of the experts at ODNR and the arboretums and others. You know, we have a lot of Tree City USA communities around Ohio. And so we're hoping that communities will really embrace that opportunity to plant some trees and contribute to our environment. We're calling those heritage trees. Yeah. And they're going to be oak trees, by the way. So.
Great. All right, this is your opportunity to ask the executive director. I always like to say you can ask about anything. Mm-hmm. Maybe what his favorite ice cream flavor is. Maybe not anything.
So what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, it's probably boring. I do really love the raspberry chunk that Graders puts out. I love chocolate chip. Cherry cordial's a favorite. Oh man. Okay, now I'm getting hungry. I haven't had lunch yet.
Well, that was perfect. That was the perfect
Yeah.
moment we needed. Nancy Arthur has her hand up, and then we'll go from Nancy to Karen.
Okay. Hey, Nancy.
Hi there. Hey, question for you on Marietta, Ohio's Northwest Ordinance dedication. It
Yes.
was, do you have any ideas on that? Like what's going on
Well,
with it, what date it is, things like that?
oh, okay. Yeah. So on July 13, 1787, the old Continental Congress passed the Northwest Ordinance in New York, while the group in Philadelphia was debating the Constitution.
Yes.
So 1787. So every year, on or about
I have a-
July 13th,
I have a
uh,
meeting
this,
on if you want to have a sit. No, you're fine. You're fine. Just to take a minute.
don't forget to put yourself on mute there. So on July 13th every year, the city of Marietta puts on public programming associated with that. So I spoke at it a couple of years ago, and they had a great event this past year. I attended. So that is an annual event that happens, as I say, on or about July 13th. We anticipate collaborating with folks in Marietta these next couple of years, especially in 2026. And I think there's going to be other opportunities too. You know, we're in conversations with a group of people to create something like a 2-day a symposium or a conference dedicated to the significance of the Northwest Ordinance. And so that's still very much in the early formative stages, but stay tuned for more on that. And, you know, Marietta is just very significant with Ohio's history in the Northwest Ordinance. So we expect to, you know, really have Marietta be very significantly involved these next couple of years in the nation's 250th.
Okay, and Karen has a question, so we'll go to Karen Elon.
I mean, want to reiterate, I'm just floored at your planning and your organization and your vision and your innovation and creativity. Like, I'm just amazed. And our committee was blown
you.
away by it this week. And I just was curious as we try to position potentially any of the statewide efforts or local efforts as visitation opportunities for specific markets like group tour. Like, you got to come to Ohio because we've got this, this, and this. And I was trying to think about that in the context of competitive differentiation. So in working with other states, are we ahead of the game? Are we doing an awesome job? I know we are, but like, how does it compare? Because if we're, at a national trade show for a group tour and we're trying to, you only got 7 minutes to pitch something, you're pitching something about America 250, and they're like, every state's doing that. We're not interested, whatever. I just didn't know how our efforts relate, to other states and what they're doing. Because I think what you all have planned is just completely has blown all of us, myself, our staff, and our task force out of the water. So I just didn't know how we stood, from a competitive differentiation standpoint.
Oh, shucks. So, well, thank you for all of that, Karen. Yeah, I try not to be too immodest about this, but yeah, I would say Ohio is doing a lot more than most states. So, we are fortunate. We had a little more than 20 years ago, we had the state's bicentennial took place, and so we're finding our opportunities to borrow from what were successful ventures as part of that. And we've kind of structured things in similar ways, and we're coming at this pretty comprehensively. I think some states are just looking very specifically to 1776. And of course, Ohio does have our touch points to 1776 for sure. So we'll definitely lean into those opportunities. But we have this broader opportunity here, and it is defined in the Ohio Revised Code to really showcase what Ohio's contributed. And so because we're taking that more comprehensive look at things. I would say, so my observation is that the states of Virginia and Pennsylvania are probably out front of all of us. But I would say Ohio is toward the front of that second tier in my observation, not because it's a competition or a race or anything like that. But I appreciate your comments, and I can tell you that Ohio is doing a lot more than a lot of other states. Many states have really leaned into this as we have. Other states, not as much. And so, you'll see that play out through 2026. As far as what you were asking about, Karen, I think some of our commission members, like Melinda Huntley, really comes to mind as someone who's really been knocking it out of the park on making those competitive advantages available, not just even to Ohio, but to other states. I think she's given a session or two to help other states that want to participate and do group sales, things of that nature. Chris, you might be in a better spot to comment on that than am I. Do you have anything
Yeah.
you should add?
I think to some extent, we're really trying to partner with other states as much as possible to help with group sales, particularly when groups are thinking about sort of going across the United States. It is a real opportunity. Heartland Travel Showcase this year is themed all around America 250, and that's really part and parcel of Melinda's work. So we're doing what we can to, and we're working really closely with Tourism Ohio to partner and co-op on how we share each other's messages and support each other. Rich has a question in the chat. Of the estimated 7,000 Revolutionary War soldiers, how many have been located and confirmed? How will the location of them be marked?
Well, great question. And I will say that we are fortunate that we are building on the work that has already been done by groups like the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Sons of the American Revolution. I think that the State Adjutant General's office has done some work in this. So we're trying to, we've got a really good team of people that are working on this to fill in some of the gaps. I think oftentimes, Rich, I think it's that we don't know where they're buried. And so our efforts are aiming by 2026 to have as many gaps filled as possible, to have the locations identified as best as it's possible to do these things, and to have them mapped digitally. So we're working with some huge help from the State Historic Preservation Office on that as well. So that work goes on. I don't have a really great answer as to how that will be done exactly. But we do anticipate, closing the gap here maybe in the next year and a half on that.
Hey, Todd.
Yeah.
This is Abby. I know Krista Horrocks is on. I don't know, Krista,
Okay.
if you want to say a few quick words about the work with the graves.
Yeah.
You caught me. I'm here.
You can't hide.
You can't hide. Thanks, guys. Yeah, my name's Krista Horrocks. I'm with the State Historic Preservation Office. I'm a cemetery preservationist by profession, so I'm project managing this project for America 250. So thanks for your interest in it, Rich, and all of you. So yeah, so we last month released, or 2 months ago now, released an RFP, and we got a team hired to do this work. It's a cultural resource team out of Terracon, which is a group, a local company that have offices all over the country. So a group of archaeologists are going to be working on this project with us. It's, Todd pretty much, he had it right. We're working with a lot of known data already. So the DAR and the SAR has very extensive data on veterans and patriots from the Revolutionary War. There is just no publicly accessible comprehensive list. So we will have a website on this going up very soon, and it'll be linked to the America 250 page, and we are going to start asking, there's going to be a public forum so people can submit information on veterans in their area that they know about, to help the cultural resource team put all this information together. But there will be efforts to attempt to go and visit as many grave sites as possible, and also working with local groups to help us visit grave sites so we can get GPS coordinates and really be able to have a good document that documents all the 7,000 plus Revolutionary War veterans buried in the state. And then that information will be housed perpetually at the State Historic Preservation Office. And we will have an online map that the public can reference, and you'll be able to click and see all the veterans and their burial locations throughout the state. And then also, we know that we will not be able to find all of them. So we will have information too, and we can always, update that information moving forward after 2026 and just kind of keep that record out there for people so they can always know where the veterans are buried in their area. So thanks, Abby and Todd.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much, Krista. A big shout out to Tom Hankins, who serves on our commission. He's a member of the SAR, and he's in Licking County. He's also very heavily involved with this effort.
All right, we're getting near the end of our first TODD Talks. I think this has been a wonderful effort. I just want to again let you know that the next one will be on Friday, February 7th at noon. And it'll be the first Friday, each month. Feel free to come in. It'll be a very similar format. We'll give some updates, maybe 10, 15 minutes worth. And then we're going to open it up for questions. So that way you can bring ideas, questions, thoughts, concerns. It's just a great way to connect with the team and, of course, with Todd. I also put in the chat, it's a really great way to keep informed with us is to sign up for our e-news. You can do that at the bottom of our website or follow us on social media. We are doing a monthly e-news, and we post almost daily on social media. So Kathy just asked, how do we get the link for monthly Zooms? Great question. So this was a bit of a quick put together. So we are going to create a web page for TODD Talks. And in that, there'll be a registration form. So it'll be a little bit more hands-free and easy for you to do. And when you do that, it'll reply back to you with the link. This will always be done in Teams because that's where our main home for this kind of content is. But you'll be able to get that through the website, and we will make sure that there's an RSVP for February very soon. So I'm going to give a one more minute, kind of last minute for any questions in the chat or raised hands, and then we're going to wrap up, and we're going to do something fun here at the end. What I'm going to do in a minute is I'll ask everybody to turn on their camera and do a smile, and I'm going to do a screenshot of all of us that we can share in social media. Kind of hokey, I know, but it'll be fun. All right, so if you guys will turn on your camera, then I'm going to get ready to take a picture of all of us.
Should we say like America 250?
Well, it's not a recording, but if you want to, whatever this, I'd love a smile.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, very good. All right, I've got almost everybody with their oh, this is so nice. I love seeing everybody's faces. All right, and if you can't do it or don't want to do it, that is okay by me. Sometimes it's a bad hair day. Okay, I'm going to do it. And I have 3 screens, so I'm going to do it 3 times. All right, so this is screen number 1. Got it. Okay. Now I'm going to do screen number 2. I know this is a little strange, but thanks for bearing with me. All right, get ready to smile again because you don't know where you are. All right, I've got screen number 2. That's great. All right. And one more. Save as I go. And here we go. Thank you so much, guys. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to having you join us again in the future, maybe in February or another time. And also with the chat, we've given you our email addresses and information. We will make sure that we include that information when we send back out with the link to the recording. And that way you can ask questions. And anytime you can write hello at america250ohio.org. And that's our general box. We'll make sure it gets to the right place. Everybody have a great day. Thanks so much.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Am I able to stay on and talk to somebody?